Perfect. Shiram Alois. Before we're going to bench, Amos Saikos Imar, L'Sheyafutza Ma'nesecha Chutza. The whole world tunes in to 770, and we have one of the most choshevste bochrim here in 770, that when we ask him to chazer a maimer chassidus in English, so all those that listen in throughout the world could participate in bringing Mashiach closer. Till in English. So we're going to ask Hatomim Anichbad Vanaylo Yankev Yitzchak Kaufman. Yitzchak Yankev Yitzchak Kaufer, originally from Los Angeles, California. Now he learns here in 770. You should give us over a Maimer Chassidus.
Come and jump in.
And one thing I can tell you, he does a beautiful job. Ansel explains it. Mamish, beautiful. Achavod Gadol.
That's good. Really part of it.
Can it work this time? Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Nice. Hello, everyone. So we'll do part of the mimer from 5731. Basi L'Gani talks about the first section of Basi L'Gani.
Turn it.
So it says, Basi L'Gani, Chosikala, I've come to my garden, my sister, my bride. And the Rebbe Riyatz says, who's the Baal HaHilula, in his discourse that he published on the day of his passing, that it says in the Midrash Rabbah, to my garden, to my bridal canopy, to the place where Hashem's, my main essence was in the beginning of time, because the main Shechinah, the main revelation of Hashem, his energy was in the lower worlds originally. But through the things that were not so good, like beginning with the sin of the tree of knowledge, then the Shechinah, the energy of Hashem, removed from below to above, all the way to the seventh heaven. And afterwards, then many tzaddikim, many righteous people, starting from Abraham, our father, they brought down the Shechinah from above to below until finally Moshe came along, who was the seventh righteous person, and all the seventh are precious, and he brought it down to the earth. So this idea, bringing down the descent of the Shechinah, the creative energy, down to the earth, is made mainly not just at Mount Sinai, but through the Mishkan, through the tabernacle structure that Moshe made in the desert. Like it says, make for me a mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. And then it continues in the Mimer. It says, and as the righteous people will inherit it, and they will dwell forever on it. That the righteous people, according to the straightforward, simple meaning as of now, we're saying the righteous people, referring to the seven righteous people that we just said, they when it says they will dwell on the earth, it means that really the word dwell actually means that they will pull down something from above. And they will pull down the Creator's energy called the Shechinah, which is, and then when it says they will dwell forever on it, really the word forever is just a name that refers to Hashem. The word ad, forever. So they will dwell, so when we read they will dwell forever on it, they will take the level of forever and cause that level of forever to dwell in the land. Like we say in davening that Hashem is He who dwells forever, exalted and holy. In the davening we read it as, Hashem dwells forever, comma, and by the way, His name is exalted and holy. But if you read the whole thing together, it says, He who dwells forever, exalted and holy, is His name. Like that entire phrase of dwelling forever, exalted and holy, that's His name. So that's like referring to the Shechinah, that it should be in a revealed way below. But really, so we said that after the Rebbe Rayatz brings the verse of Moshe building the Mishkan, then he brings the verse. So he can hear us. He can hear.
I'm hearing you talking. I don't hear you.
All right.
Sorry, I'm serious. What if it's going to be from him? I'm serious. People want to
What should I do? What should I do? Continue?
What?
I don't know. What should I do?
You have a problem? Yeah, we can't hear nothing. So go to your house and verbring. In this house, the Rebbe is the boss. Okay, and the Rebbe said to make us see. You don't need the microphone. So there's a boss in your house. Just for people watching it. Listen. I'll call the Vatov למה זה שצריך להסתיר? הוא חוזר חסידות, כמו שהרבי אמר, בתוך הבית. אתה לא תגיד, הרבי אומר מה שצריך. צריכים את הרשות שלך. לא צריך את הרשות. מה כתוב שמה? הרבי רצה עם שטולה.
We'll do a little more. We don't have to do the whole thing.
ככה זה הדת שלך, ויש לנו רבי שאומר הפוך.
We'll do a little bit. A little bit more, I guess.
לא, you can...
We want to finish the whole thing.
תשמע, תלך מאיפה שבאת ושם אתה.
Here. Good.
כל אחד אומר פה, מי נתן לך להגיד להיות? יש רבי שם.
So in the mind, after he brings that Moshe built the Mishkan, then he brings the verse, which is seemingly the proof that the tzaddikim, righteous people, seemingly referring to the 7 righteous people before, they are the ones who brought the Shechinah down. But actually, the order in the Midrash is kind of the opposite. In the Midrash that it's quoting, first it says the verse, the righteous people will inherit the land and pull down the Shechinah to the land. And afterwards, the Midrash brings the proof that says that the Shechinah was mainly in the earth when the Mishkan was made. Because the Mishkan is bringing that as a proof for why the 7 righteous people brought it down in the Mishkan. But in the Mimer, he changes the order of the things that are brought. The verse that says that the righteous people will inherit the earth and bring the Shechinah down, that was brought after he says that the main Shechinah was revealed in the Mishkan. So why did he change the order? So there he says that this is hinting to the fact that tzaddikim pull down the Shechinah below to the earth. This intention is not only referring to the 7 righteous people that brought the Shechinah down originally to the Mishkan from Abraham until Moshe. Rather, it's referring to the drawing down of the Shechinah that happens after the Mishkan was made through Moshe. And it says even after the Mishkan was made, okay, the Shechinah is in the earth, that's it. But no, even after the Mishkan is made, even though the Mishkan that Moshe made was a very high revelation of the Shechinah, the energy, but nevertheless, the tzaddikim, the righteous people, not just the 7 righteous people, but all of the Jewish people, your nation are all righteous. All of the Jewish people throughout all the generations, they draw down an even greater revelation of the Shechinah, even greater than what Moshe drew down in the Mikdash. Meaning that after the 7 righteous people bring the Shechinah down to earth, culminating with Moshe, and specifically through Moshe who made the Mishkan in the earth, after all the 7 tzaddikim, they're not the end. They're not the end. It says, through that, they are the ones who just give us the power. They give the power to each and every Jewish person to draw down the Shechinah even more than what Moshe drew down. Moshe drew down the Shechinah to the earth. But that's not it. It's not just enough for the Shechinah to be on earth. We have Moshe made it possible for the other Jewish people, after the Mishkan is made, to draw down even greater levels of the Shechinah afterwards. And it says, Rebbe says, that just like the pulling down the Shechinah below in this world happened through the Mishkan, and the Mishkan itself, Moshe put it together, but it was made with materials that all of the Jewish people donated to. Like it says, speak to the children of Israel, and they shall make for me a temple, and I will dwell in them. That the commandment to make the Mikdash, to make the sanctuary, and therefore to draw down the Shechinah was not just something that Moshe did on his own, but rather it was something that was told to all of the Jewish people. But this that the Midrash says, that Moshe was the one that drew down the Shechinah to the earth. Like, he was the 7th. Moshe was the 7th. Only Moses. But no, since really the main revelation of the Shechinah was through Moshe. The beginning and the main primary building of the Mishkan and drawing that was through Moshe. And also Moshe also gave the power to every Jew, and afterwards that all the Jewish people should also contribute to the commandment of make for me a temple and I will dwell in them. So too when it comes to pulling down the Shechinah nowadays. Now in the modern day right now, it says that when we pull down the Shechinah now, that's even greater than what happened in the times of Moshe. In the present day, when we pull down the Shechinah now through our actions, we have a greater effect even than what Moshe had in his time with the Mishkan. The power that each and every Jewish person has to pull down the Shechinah is through the tzaddikim, through the heads of the Jewish people, of the thousands of Jewish people in every generation, which is the offshoot of Moshe in every generation, all the way until the Rebbe. And it says, first of all, the Rebbe, like the Moshe, just like Moshe, made the main Shechinah, made like the main revelation of the Shechinah, but then he also gave the power to all the other Jewish people to add in the drawing down even more. So too when it comes to every generation. That's the first thing.
Go ahead.
Keep going, you sure?
This is the biggest thing we could do.
So now the Rebbe says, okay, after the Rebbe Riyatz explains in a very short way how the Midrash, in a very general and short way, this idea of the seven righteous people to bring down the Shechinah, then he goes into the Maimer in more detail, more depth. And for example, in the first section of the Maimer in Basi L'Gani, he explains what does it mean when we say that the main Shechinah b'tachtonim, Ikar Shechinah b'tachtonim, the main revelation of the Shechinah was in the lower worlds. And then afterwards, in other chapters, he explains specifically how does every Jewish person exactly make a temple for Hashem, and not only how do they make the temple, but what do they do in the temple after they make it, and through all those things, through making the temple, and then all together create I will dwell within them, which is pulling down the main Shechinah in the lower realm. So he explains in the first chapter. He explains that what is the reason why we say that the main Shechinah was in the lower realms. Why was the Shechinah in the earth originally? Why was it in the lower realms? It's because it says because the ultimate purpose of creation of the worlds is that Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the lower worlds. So if we just have this phrase right now without explaining anything afterwards, we say, okay, Hashem wanted to be in the lower worlds, so therefore he made the world, and then he kind of moved in afterwards. But really no, he adds more things that this is not the full explanation. It's not that Hashem just wants to be in the lower worlds, but there's more things to that. He explains that that Hashem wanted to be in the lower worlds is that there should be a revelation of Hashem's light below, not that Hashem himself should just come from above without any initiation, rather that Hashem wants his revelation to happen through the work of people. And not just any work of people, but the work that people do to bring down the godliness in the world is the work of its kafia and his hapcha, is the work of holding back from evil, even when evil still exists, and also transforming evil. You might think that, okay, if people do learn the Torah and do the commandments, maybe just that alone is enough. But the idea of holding back from evil, even when evil exists, and transforming darkness to light, those things are not necessarily part of mitzvahs. Those are just those are their own things. It says that the two ways that we make the dwelling place below is through these two unique things of holding back from the evil when the evil still exists and transforming the evil. It doesn't mention the Torah mitzvahs specifically. Like it says, when the other side is subdued, then the glory of the Holy One, blessed be He, is found. So it's like so these two ideas of subduing the evil and transforming, those specifically are the ways that we create the dwelling place. And what do we mean when we say that the revelation of Hashem is in all the worlds? That refers to a level of light which is in all the worlds equally, which means that second part of the explanation, the light that's in all worlds, that's in order to explain that we're not just drawing down anything, we're drawing down the Ikar Shechinah, we're drawing down the main part of Shechinah. You could think, okay, we're just drawing down a lower level, but because we're saying it's the light that's in all the worlds equally, that's the proof for how it's the Ikar Shechinah, the main Shechinah. And that's the light which is beyond relevance to the worlds. There's light beyond the worlds that's still related to the world. This is light that's beyond relevance to the worlds. Because when it comes to light that's inside the worlds itself, there's a difference between upper worlds and lower worlds. Like we say, he stretched out his right hand and created the heavens, and he stretched out his left hand and created the earth, which means that the energy that exists in the heavens, which is the upper worlds, is from the right side, but the energy that exists in the earth, in the lower worlds, is from the left side, which means that there's still a difference between the upper and lower. But when we say that when we say that through iskafia specifically, and also ishapcha, but it doesn't mention in this phrase, through the idea of iskafia holding back, then we draw the light that's in all the worlds equally. It means that it has to be a light that's beyond relevance to the world. Because if it's not, then it means that it has a difference of upper and lower. But the level where we say in all worlds, it doesn't just mean in all worlds differently. It means in all the light which is in all the worlds equally, which is the light which is beyond relevance to the worlds. If it has a relevance to the worlds, then it would not be found in all worlds equally. It would be found differently. So this is what it says. When we have iskafia specifically, then the glory of the Holy One, blessed be He, is found in all the worlds, that through the service of subduing and also transforming. The statement itself, but for different reasons, the idea of transforming darkness to light is also implied, even though it's not explicitly mentioned, but it gets into it later. So like this level, so through those two things of holding back, iskafia, and transforming darkness to light, those two things only are what access the light that's in all the worlds equally, which is the light which is beyond relevance to the worlds. So seemingly, like we said? First of all, we said the reason. What's the reason why the Shechinah was in the lower world? We said because Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the lower realms. So if we only have that reason, seemingly that should be enough. Hashem made the world, and then after He made the world, He wanted to be in the world, so He just could have come into the world. So what's the point of having all these other things? Not only, it's not enough that Hashem should be in the world, but Hashem wants to be in the world only through the actions of people, and not just any actions. You could think, okay, maybe through the Torah and the mitzvahs, but no, not just any actions, but only through these two actions of subduing and transforming. So, and not only that, but it's not enough for Hashem just to have like a lower level of His light in the world, but He has to have the light that's in all the worlds equally in the lower world. So what's the point of those other things, basically? It makes sense to say that he wants to have a dwelling place in the lower world. What do the details matter? Is the point. Should I continue?
Yeah, I'm just saying it shouldn't beep so much.
See, I don't know why it's beeping.
No, but I'll adjust it up there.
Okay. So why do we need all these details? Hashem wants to have a dwelling place in the lower world. What's the point of the dwelling place being made through people, and what does it matter what we do to make the dwelling place? So really, the explanation of this is what it says that in the Midrash it says the main Shechinah. When it says in the Midrash that the Shechinah, the main Shechinah, was found in the lower world, it's actually saying two different things, two different details within that statement. It says, first of all, it's advantage that we have of the lower worlds as opposed to the upper worlds. The main Shechinah was found in the lower worlds, which implies that there's an advantage in the lower worlds that the upper worlds do not have. That's specifically right. And so the lower worlds are able to receive only the etched Shechinah, and not just any Shechinah, but the main part of the Shechinah is the second idea. Not only are we stressed, so meaning like this the same statement has two parts. The main Shechinah, and it's found below. So that means that there's the idea of below, the advantage of below, and what does below have? It doesn't just have anything, it has the main Shechinah. Those are two unique details. And the other things that explains in the Mimer are explaining why we have these two things together, explaining these two things of why He wanted that the other details of how we say, okay, not just that He should have a dwelling place below, but that the dwelling place should be made through people and through these services. Those are explaining these two things. First of all, why below only, and then not only why below, but why does below reveal the higher level of the Shechinah? So it says the idea that explains in the first part of the Mimer are explaining the two ideas of the fact that He wanted that the revelation should be below, a dwelling place below, should be through the service of people. It says the fact that He wanted it to be through people is because that's explaining why He wants it to be below. Really, Hashem could dwell anywhere, but because of the service that people have, that's explaining the advantage that the service people have. That's explaining why it should be below specifically. Besides for this, that Hashem wanted, meaning that besides that Hashem just wanted to be in the lower worlds, Hashem wanted that the entire creation of the lower worlds should be made in service of man. That through the revelation of Hashem, the light in the lower worlds, that comes through their own service, then only then do they become, first of all, vessels to receive the revelation, and not only that, but the revelation that comes to them is from within the lower realms alone. It's not enough for Hashem just to dwell in the lower worlds. He wants it to be made from within the lower worlds so that they can receive it better and it can fit in. So that first detail of the revelation coming through the service of people, that's explaining why the lower worlds. And a second reason it says that the second detail we had, why are we adding not only that it has to be made through people, but also that the service is only it's kafia and isapcha, only subduing and holding back, and not maybe something else like learning Torah, doing mitzvahs. The second thing, that the service that we do in order to make the dwelling place is the service of holding back and transforming evil. Because through that second explanation, we are explaining why the revelation that comes in the lower worlds is not just any revelation, but it's the revelation. It's the revelation of the etched Shechinah, like we said. Because only through these two services can we access the level of the light that's in all the worlds equally. So basically, the dwelling place has to be made through the service of people, so that we can be a vessel to receive it, internalize it, and that the revelation to be found more in the lower world. So the first detail is that the dwelling place has to be made through people. That's explaining why it has to be betachtonim. And the second detail of why betachtonim, what was below, it was the etched Shechinah, it was the main part of Shechinah. In order to explain why it was the etched Shechinah, we say that the two ways that we make the dira is through iskaf and isapcha. The first two.
Go ahead. At least three.
At least three. Oh man, pressure's on. This is a lot of pressure. Okay.
Lower, then that's good.
Okay. Still a lot of the. All right. We'll go. Hopefully. Okay. So we have three things going on. First of all, Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the lower worlds. We said the etched Shechinah, the main Shechinah was below, and then we explained why. Why was it below? Because the dwelling place has to be. Hashem wanted the dwelling place to be made by people, so that the people can receive it, and it should be internalized. And what they do to make the dwelling place is the idea of subduing and transforming, which causes the main Shechinah as opposed to a lower level to be revealed. Okay, now we're adding that these. It's really two details within the dwelling place itself. So these two ideas of making the dwelling place, and then also how you make the dwelling place, we can also understand from what it says. Rabbis say that Hashem nisava, Hashem had a desire to have a dwelling place in the lower worlds. We don't just say that Hashem wanted or that Hashem was in the lower worlds. Hashem had a desire to be in a dwelling place in the lower worlds. The idea of a desire, what is that? So the Zohar and the etched says that there are different reasons for creating the worlds. For example, in the Zohar it says that he created the worlds in order that he should be known, and in etched it says that he created the worlds in order to reveal the completeness of his powers and actions, which is similar. The idea of his powers being known, similar idea. Like Hashem wants to be known so that his powers can be revealed. Two different but similar ideas. But in the other midrash that we just mentioned, it says that the reason for the creation of the worlds was because Hashem desired to have a dwelling place in the lower realms. So if you just read this simply, these are three different things that seemingly a contradiction. Why do we have three different reasons? Hashem made the world, just one reason should be enough. The idea of so in the midrash you say the idea that Hashem desired in a way that's beyond logic. World for very logical reasons, to be revealed and known. Those are logical reasons. But the midrash says he desired, and a desire is beyond logic. So why we have contradictions of different reasons? Like the Alter Rebbe says, on a desire, there's no difficulty. When it comes to a desire, there's no questions. The Alter Rebbe says. But what does that mean? What does it mean? There's no questions. You might think, okay, you can't really ask any questions about it because we're not supposed to ask questions. But no, it means that the idea of a desire in general is that it reaches a spiritual level which does not have any possibility of questions. Simple meaning, someone asked Alter Rebbe, why did Hashem make the world? Because he wanted to. Why did he want to? Just don't ask questions on a desire. But no, the idea of any desire is that it reaches a place where the questions are not possible. It reaches a place that's beyond questions because it's beyond intellect, it's beyond logic. So the explanation of this, why do we have different reasons for the creation of the world? In the Zohar and the Chaim, it talks about the reason for creating the worlds, for the upper worlds, in the spiritual worlds, which are more in tune with the divine spirit. In the upper worlds, they have they have revelations, which means that they're able to actually perceive the godliness. So when it comes to people to entities actually perceiving something, then we have reasons for what can be perceived. Since the revelations that happen in these upper worlds are very high revelations, but these revelations are not totally beyond intellect. They're revelations, but they're still revelations that have some kind of a definition and category. So therefore, relative to those revelations, when Hashem wanted to make the world relative to those revelations, then the world that He would make and the reason He would have for making those worlds would be in accordance with those revelations, with the categories that the revelations existed, even though they're very high beyond, are in the realm of understanding in general. They still have some reason, even if we can't understand it. So the reason that He would have to make those revelations are within a reason. But in the Midrash, it talks about the idea of the creation from a higher level, from the Awtsmoos, from the etched of Hashem. And since the Awtsmoos is not in any category at all, not just a category that we can't understand, but it's essentially beyond any category. So therefore, the will that He has to create the worlds from the Awtsmoos is in a way that it does not have any categories, which is the desire, which does not fit any logical categories, just like the Awtsmoos itself essentially has no categories. The will that He has from the Awtsmoos has no categories, beyond reason. Not just beyond the reason we can understand, beyond reason in general. And just like the idea of a desire is in the essence. So the idea of what He desires is that He should be a. So what do you say? Okay, so what do we say this idea of a desire, which is beyond any reason, any logical reason, I say. So that because of that illogical reason, therefore He wants a dwelling place, a dira, like a house, so to speak, in the lower realms. The idea of a house, a dira, is like when someone is found in their house, then it's like the essence of the person is revealed. It's like the house is what brings out the person's essence. So it seems like it's beyond logic, but really that which is beyond logic also expresses it in a logical way in something in a dira, in like a house, where just like a person is in a house, that brings out the essence of the person. So because this level of the Awtsmoos is beyond any category, and He desires something, the thing that He desires has to be what desires fit, which is a house. A house that the person is in, that brings out the essence of a person, the Awtsmoos, the essential core of what the person is in the person's house. So that's why Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place, because it's beyond logic that leads to the idea of a dwelling place, just like a person. So okay, we just proved that the creation of the worlds is because He desired it beyond reason. So how are we able to prove something that's beyond reason? It seems kind of strange. We're able to prove that which is beyond reason is a reason for creating the worlds, which is kind of contradictory. If it's beyond reason, how could we have any way of proving things from it? So in order that, because really it says that in order that this idea of Hashem being known, which is knowing Hashem, so if Hashem just wanted to be known, which is the reason in the Zohar, then it would have been okay if He only created the upper worlds. Not when we say upper worlds, we don't mean Bria and Sira. We mean from the world of Etzilus and beyond Etzilus, because and He wouldn't need to create any lower worlds at all. And not only that, but the main idea of Hashem being known is only in the upper worlds, because in order to create the lower worlds, Hashem has to hide Himself, at least in some way. Even the highest level of the lower worlds still involves some kind of descent and hiding. But the knowledge and the understanding and godliness that's in the upper worlds, beyond the Etzilus and beyond, is beyond concealment. But the understanding that exists in the lower worlds, in Bria, Yetzir, and Asiya, in the spiritual lower worlds, for example, even though they're beyond this world, but those worlds do not grasp the essence. Only from Etzilus and beyond do they grasp the essence. But even the highest level of the lower worlds do not grasp the essence at all. It's still concealment. And all the more so when it comes to this physical world, where we don't even feel the existence. The other spiritual worlds, they feel the existence that there is some godliness, they just don't know what it is. In the lower worlds, we don't even feel that the existence exists at all. So therefore, when it comes to the reason of Hashem made the world in order to be revealed, in order for His power, says in order for His power to be revealed, He could have just created the upper worlds from its silus and beyond, because those worlds actually understand the essence, which is what He wanted to reveal to them. But since even because even those worlds are still not Hashem Himself, even the worlds from its silus and beyond, even though they grasp the essence, they're still something, and because they're something, they're created something from nothing, because they're not Hashem Himself, even though they're beyond our conception of something from nothing. But even the upper worlds of the silus are still something from nothing, so they're still worlds, so they're still, like, so to speak, a separate entity that can understand Hashem. Therefore, if the Orient Sof would have only created them, then that would have revealed Hashem's power in them, because they have the ability to understand Him. And then they have the ability to understand that He has the power to create a new thing, because even these upper worlds are still a new existence. They're not just always existing. But not only that, but the main revelation of His powers is a. So according to this, we say, okay, maybe Hashem's mainly revealed in these upper worlds, but maybe He can also be revealed in lower worlds. But no, it says that only in these upper worlds can Hashem's powers be fully revealed, which is the reason the Zohar says. When the Zohar says that Hashem's powers should be fully revealed, that only applies to these upper worlds. It says, since the creation of the lower worlds, which is Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, even though they're still spiritual, but they're lower, the creation of those worlds is through the koach, through the force, the godly force that creates them has to hide itself from them, at least in some way. Even in the highest level of the lower worlds, it still involves some concealment of the godly force, but not in the other worlds beyond. So, in this action of Hashem's force, the koach, which is the creation of the lower worlds, of the concealment, even the tiny bit of concealment does not reveal the power itself. It says, Hashem made the lower worlds like with a force, like if you throw with a force. The force itself is not revealed. We only see the effect of the force, but we don't see the force itself. In the upper worlds, which is not created through force, it's just created through a different way, through light, then they see it. But when we involve this idea of koach, of force, then the things that are created from that do not see the force. They only see the effect from it. So, and all the more so, it's not revealed even in the spiritual worlds that are lower, but all more so is this force of Hashem's creation of something from nothing. It's not revealed in this physical world, because this physical world has the concealment. The concealment of creating something from nothing is concealed even more. But what do we have in this physical world? We don't have the force revelation. But what do we have? The fact that He created also these lower worlds, He didn't create them for no reason. So there has to be, and all the more so when it comes to this physical world. If the reason of the Zohar was the only reason, then He would have no reason to create any worlds that involve concealment and creation through force at all. So the fact that He created this world, which has, and this physical world on its own, without any extra things, the physical world on the surface level has no advantage of its own, because it's just pure concealment. Like it says, the Alter Rebbe says, it's the lowest world to which there is none lower than it. So that the fact that He created this lower world is a proof that the ultimate intention of the creation is not because of reason, but because of a desire that this physical world should be a dwelling place for Hashem. For this, so basically, we just proved that which is beyond, that the ultimate reason of creation cannot have any logical, intellectual reason at all. Not just logical reason that we can't understand, but it cannot have any logical reason, even in essence, because any logical reason is still categorized in some category. The categories are defined in the upper worlds. In order to create this physical world, it has no advantage of its own. So there would be no reason to create the physical world, if not for a reason that's totally beyond logic, that can only be expressed through the idea of like a house, like when a person's in a house and their essence is revealed. So basically, we just proved why the fact that we know that this physical world, the fact that it's created and has no advantage of its own, that we can see, that's the proof that in the physical world we see that the desire of Hashem in the physical world. So they say that there's a proof we have an intellectual proof for the fact that Hashem desired to have a dwelling place in the lower world, even though desire is beyond reason. It's kind of strange. We're proving intellectually that which is beyond reason. And not only are we proving it, but the proof that we see is from the creation of the physical world, which has no advantage of its own, which is the lowest possible world. How could it be that in the lowest possible world, not only can we prove something, but we can prove that which is beyond anything, beyond everything else? How can it be that in the lowest level that has nothing for itself, we can intellectually prove that which is beyond intellect? Why is that? How is it even possible to do that? Because the creation of this lowest world is from the creation of this lowest world, from the fact that he desired it. When we say that he desired the world, it does not mean that Hashem desired it and then he kind of like put that desire on the side and then like he made other decisions based on that desire. It's like, oh, I want it, but I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm just going to desire it, then do other things. No, not that the desire remained in himself, and not that he created this world through other things. You think, okay, he desired this world, but he desired it just for himself, and then after that he desired it, then he created the world through other ways. But no, this idea that he desired this world is not just something that he desired that remains for himself. But this desire that he has for the world is actually found inside the creation. It's found everywhere in the physical world. The desire itself is not just a desire that Hashem has in its essence. It's a desire that exists everywhere in this world. Like it says, like when it comes to the idea of a delight, if a person has the delight in something, because desire and delight are a similar idea. When someone has the delight in something, like it says, if someone hears a really good teaching and then have delight in it, then it says that even though the delight, the idea of delight in a person's soul is really the highest level of the soul, beyond intellect, beyond anything else, but beyond even a person's will to want something. But nevertheless, because it's beyond everything, it's able to be found in all of the other powers of the person's soul. And not only is the desire that someone has found in their soul, it's also found in their body. Until it also increases the physical flesh and the bones of the body, like even the bones of someone's foot. Like it says, a good teaching causes one's bones to grow. So the idea of desire is really beyond everything, but because it's beyond everything, it's found even in the bones of a person, the lowest level, even the bones of the foot. And therefore, the creation of this world itself, that it was created in a way that there's nothing lower than it. The fact that this world exists at all, and the fact that there's nothing lower than this world, that proves that this world has the idea of desire. It's like the bones of a person's body grow when they have desire, because the desire beyond everything is found at the lowest level. So this world that we know is the lowest level, we know there's nothing lower than this world. So because we know this world is the lowest level, that's why we know that it has the desire of the Awtsmoos. And to add that this itself, that the creation of this lowest world is in a way that the desire that Hashem has for the world is actually found in the creation of the world itself. It's not just beyond the world. It's in order that, why does that happen? It didn't just happen on its own, but Hashem, that was also with intent. Hashem made the desire that he had for the world in the world itself in order that the intention that Hashem had to dwell in this field, which means that the lower people should be a dwelling place for him, not just because he wants to be here on his own, but that the lower world should make a dwelling place for him on their own, because from within the lower aspect itself, like we said before. So in order for them to be able to make the dwelling place from within themselves, they have to have some relevance to the Awtsmoos in order that they could be able to make a dwelling for the Awtsmoos, even before they make the dwelling place for the Awtsmoos. And therefore the creation of this physical world that happened from this, that he desired it, is in a way that in the world itself, in the creation of the world, we have the desire of the Awtsmoos, so that we have the ability to have a connection to the Awtsmoos to make a dwelling place for him.
This mimer has 14 chapters. He just managed to learn 3. It's the mimer of Basi L'Gani, Tov Shi Lamed Aleph. Want to really thank you for giving us a clarification, especially for all those that speak in English and don't understand Hebrew, can have a taste of a Basi L'Gani mimer. Thank you very much. Hashem should bless you and fulfill all your desires to the good, because of Mamash. The main thing we should all have, Mashiach now. Shira